So we're here to honor this wonderful room that is dedicated, of course, to former Councilor Ken Sanchez. And I thought about a couple of things as I was reflecting on Ken. You know, first and foremost, I know his family is here, and I have on my screensaver, you know, on our computers, there's like pictures, and mine rotate like a lot of people's do. And I have all these amazing pictures from this trip to UNM versus Notre Dame. But most of them were taken by Ken or his son. And it's amazing because like it's like the memory behind the memory, because I see myself and like my dad, right? But now I also think of Ken. And so I think of him often, I mean almost weekly, for many reasons, but that's one. And that was also really the last time where he and I got to spend a lot of time personally together. But I was also thinking about, you know, his legacy becomes even more and more important, I think, each day, in a sense of where we're at, even as a country or as a city. And, you know, Ken, one, dedicated to his district, right? And this is it's a small example, but it's one of dozens, if not many dozens, of projects that Ken made happen through his tenacity, through his dedication, but also his willingness to collaborate and take a long-term view. You know, Ken never held a grudge. He never went after anyone personally, ever. I mean, I can never remember him personally attacking a city staffer, another politician. He was truly a man of dignity and integrity. And it's something I miss every day. But it's also something that I hope we all can remember, that he still is a role model for us in that way. And actually, when we think about what's happening in our country, for all elected leaders and public leaders in our country. So Ken, we miss you, but we also celebrate you today. Thank you for leaving such a wonderful legacy, a legacy that still, several years later, we're still talking about, which is awesome. And I think we do have a couple left in the pipeline that were really all his projects. And so we will keep honoring him and remembering him, and trying actually to live up to the standard that he set, which I think is the right standard and a very high standard for public servants. So thank you so much, Ken, for providing this and providing a path forward for all of us together. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to the head of our libraries. You know, the other day I was meeting with UNM and they thought you were a dean. They were like, the city has a dean of libraries, and they were kind of jealous. And I didn't really tell them that's just your first name. But let's give a round of applause to our library dean, Dean Smith.
Well, welcome. It takes a lot of people to make a library and even a community room happen. Elected officials, contractors, architects, construction workers, the library staff, and our first, and of course, the funding, which comes from the government, from various elected officials. And this project started with state funding as the core beginning. And so our first speaker that I want to thank is Representative Joy Garrett. And if you want to come up.
It is such a joy to be here, everybody, and thanks for joining us. I first met Ken in person down on Tesuque at a constituent's house. We were having a fundraiser, and he came and he is tenacious, as Tim said. And so we were in the kitchen nibbling on snacks, and he said, "So by the way, Joy, if you're elected, you have to remember the Taylor Ranch Library." And so every year when our capital funding comes, I think of him so much. And I also think of the deluge of rain. About right before COVID, there was a Santa Fe Village neighborhood meeting, and I'll never forget, the heavens opened. And some of you I know were there. And so when I saw the location of the community room, I realized if there's an outdoor meeting, we now have a place to escape to. So I'm very grateful. I'm also grateful to my predecessors. Senator Sandra Rue gave money. We always worked together on funding. He said, "Joy, we have to make sure we fund it." My direct predecessor, Representative David Atkins, gave money. Senator Harold Pope, who represents this area as the senator, can't be here today. He gave money. And then the city and the state have given money. So I just want to thank everybody that has made this such a robust place. I know we've had our kids do the book reading in the summer, and Representative Maestas, who's going to speak directly in a moment. Sorry, I left your name off because I knew you were going to talk. I've done job applications here using the computers. Our library is so much beyond books now. So I'm grateful for everybody. I'm grateful that as state elected people, we have funding to help make it here. And I also want to thank the Santa Fe Neighborhood Village Santa Fe Neighborhood Association, because you've been stalwart supporters of making sure this gets done. So thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, everybody. Ken Sanchez's family, Jacqueline, Natalie, Kenneth. It's great to see everybody. My name is Mo Maestas. I'm the state senator from District 26, and I was actually ran for office back in the day when Ken Sanchez ran for state treasurer. And Ken was such a powerful leader. You're like, well, why aren't you a statewide leader? He, the pre-primary convention and kind of when you win those state offices are in the middle of tax season. And Ken would not sacrifice any of his clients' tax forms and tax responsibilities, so it was difficult for him to like rally at the convention. But I really got to know him that spring and summer of 2002. Then when I got elected in 2006, he had moved from the county commission to the city council. And he's such a powerful leader that the county commission actually named its chambers after him 20 years after he had retired from the county commission. You know, that's because he brought so much class and dignity to that body. But one of the first the pitches he gave to me was, "Mo, you gotta get stuff for the Taylor Ranch," you know, and so we had the awnings. Those awnings were built maybe 15 years ago. But it's just tremendous to name this room after Ken. I was actually running late because there's multiple libraries on the west side that are worthy of Ken Sanchez's name. I was over at Pat Baca Library, which he spearheaded as well. But anyway, I can go on and on about Ken, Commissioner Sanchez, Councilor Sanchez. He wasn't worried about statewide. He wasn't worried about accolades. He wasn't worried about any of that stuff. He just wanted to do what was right for the community. And he taught me so much about being an elected official, so much about the pulls and tugs that you get from your friends, your constituents, the advocates, and then the folks who helped get you elected, but ultimately you represent your constituents, you represent the West Side. I mean, you know, West Mesa graduate, and just dignity and class. So anyway, in closing, libraries are just a part of our community. They're part of our society. Some of the great tragedies in human history were libraries that were burnt to the ground. You know, the library of the Mayans, the library of the Egyptians, you know, because they hold our history and our culture and our collective spirit together. So Ken spearheaded that. He made it happen. It's going to be a beautiful place to have his name on it and to commemorate his life and his love for the West Side. So I'm just proud and honored to be here. And we love you, Ken. We love you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, so why a community room? Well, to put it in perspective, I think first we just start with a book. And in a book, you get story and information. You add a few more books and you have a library. But if you add in the community, then you have a public library. And that's someplace where the public, everybody, anybody is able to engage with the books, the computers, the internet, the media, and improve themselves. But if you want the public to be able to engage with all those resources and with each other, you need a space for that. And and the space for that we call is a community room. So we can do story times for children, we can do book discussions for adults, and the community and the neighborhood can come in and have association meetings and just general gatherings. But for over 30 years, the Taylor Ranch Library didn't have a community room. It had great 13,000 square feet of space, but no space to meet as a group and not bother everybody else in the building. So we go back to 2018 on Library Legislative Day, when this library supporters from the advisory board, from the Library Foundation, from the Friends of the Library were up in Santa Fe asking and thanking legislators. And Representative David Adkins at that time asked, well, what does the Taylor Ranch Library need? Well, I had a list. Roof, paint, furniture, windows, carpet, accessible bathrooms, and a community room. David sensibly picked one. And then he did something that was really fabulous. He worked with his colleagues at the time in the state legislature, Representatives Mo Maestas, Damon Eli, Monica Youngblood, and others. And together they came up with the total estimated amount for the construction of this community back in 2018, which was $480,000. Of course, you go to design and you go to the bids and suddenly you don't have enough money. Seems to be the regular story of any project. So we went back to City Council, Councilor Ken Sanchez, Councilor Lane Sena put forward money. We went back to the state and Representative Joy Garrett and others put together some more money, and we got to the $600 and some thousand that we needed to make this building, this community room, a reality. So now we've added over 1,100 square feet to this 13,000 square foot building, and it provides that needed space protected from the rain, where we can have gatherings, neighborhood meetings, and library programs. And I also have to acknowledge the Library Foundation and the estate of Dolores Hartley. Dolores was a regular book club member here, and in her estate, she left the money that paid for the beautiful chairs that we're sitting on now and the tables and chairs that are in the community room. So now we come to today, and I have to recognize and thank current City Councilor Louis Sanchez, because remember that list of needs that I talked about? He's keeping the ball rolling on that list of needs, and our next big project is going to be to work on the old roof and the old HVAC that are in this building and well past their lifespan. Which is a huge need, and thank you very, very much. I will admit that the new HVAC in the community room, when we go in there in a moment after the ribbon cutting, isn't working right today. The story of every ribbon cutting that we've been through. I have to share, now I have to get out the device and share some words from Elaine Romero, who worked with Councilor Sanchez, was his sidekick for years. And she was unfortunately on vacation and also coming up to her birthday soon, so we forgive her for not being here. But she sent some very kind words. Let me see if I can get through them. Please mention how appreciative I am for the community members requesting that this community room be named after our late city councilor, Ken Sanchez. Ken loved his community, believed in the power of libraries and literature, and the power of working together to get things done. Ken would be so honored today, as am I, to have worked alongside him and the community. And I need to thank the staff that are here. Lily Byers Richardson is the manager. There she is. And thank her staff who make this library work every day in and out, almost 300 and what would be about 50 days of the year, 7 days a week. And now, of course, Ken is the major star of the show today, and I'm going to invite his daughter, Jacqueline Sanchez Zamora, to come up and share a few of her own words. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here today. As you all know, I'm Jacqueline, Ken's daughter. I just want to start by saying something that I know he would say today. He would say that today's a great day for the Westside, a great day. And of course, on behalf of the entire Sanchez family, I'd like to thank Mayor Keller, our representatives, all of the city council, Lan Sena, Louis Sanchez, and the rest of the council. all of the Neighborhood Association of Santa Fe who fight so hard for their community, and of course the people here at the library, the staff who have been tremendous in this fight, something that's really long time coming for the library. And I know that you will all, keep my father's legacy going, and you've ensured that this Westside community to have the very best facilities and continue for a very limitless education. I want to say, my dad growing up, I was a teenager and we'd be on road trips in the car and he'd say, always ask, same questions. If today was your last day on earth, what would your contribution be to the community? And as a teenager, you're like, I don't know. I have no idea. And I just stay quiet. And he'd say, come on, let's go. You got to have something. There's got to be something. You just can't roam around taking up people's oxygen. And I'd say, okay, so I have to give him an answer. And looking back as an adult, I see that I really believe that he looked back and said every day of his life was dedicated to people in the community, serving the people he loved. And I think it's great to think that we all should live our lives that way. And I'm so thankful that I get to look back and see his legacy every day in so many different aspects. He's done so much. But with these people that are here in front of us, these amazing state elected officials, Mayor Keller, Representative Maestas are great friends. Thank you for giving back to him and helping keep his legacy alive, because without you, we couldn't do it. And it's such a blessing. Thank you.
3, 2, 1.
Okay. This is one of the few ribbon cuttings where there's snaps on